like it's in this reality. But then it tunes into an alternate parallel reality which coexists within this single timeless moment that is all of existence. So the tuning into that other reality is the seeing it, the visualizing it, the imagining it. As soon as you imagine something and you really sort of let go in that imagination and you start seeing the details of it and you start to give yourself permission to enjoy it as if it's real, you start to feel it. First you see it, then you feel it. The feeling of it means that you're bridging the gap between this reality and the other one. It's the bridge. The feeling part is the bridge. It's where imagination starts to download the vibratory patterns of that parallel self, that parallel version of yourself, which has all these things that you desire. You start to feel it. That's what happens. When you start to feel it, you start to change, alter your vibrational field. When you start changing your vibrational field, at some point that becomes so real, so vivid, that it takes over. It becomes more real to you than your present physical manifestation reality. At that point, you are being it. You are knowing it. You are acting as if it. You are behaving accordingly. You are believing accordingly. So see it, feel it, be it. If the seeing of it in the future, if that still comes up from you, oh, this is in the future, it's not here yet. Place it in your past. Do with that whatever you want to. Place it in the present if you can. Then you start to feel it. Whatever you need to do to get past that seeing-feeling barrier, you need to drop into the feeling of it. If you can only visualize it but not feel it, you're blocking yourself somehow with the belief. So then use a workaround, like placing it in your past or being creative in whatever way. Checking out why you're resisting that image. How are you insisting that it's lacking right now? And then work around that, somehow ease that, somehow allow yourself to open up to where the seeing becomes the feeling. And when it becomes the feeling, it very, very quickly starts to become the being of it. And when it's the being of it, it's only a matter of physical time before it's very quickly reflected physically so.
Hi.
Hey.
So I'm wanting to check in with what may be a limiting belief.
Awesome.
But I want your help with it.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. There's two. One is, that idea of like someone's going to punch me in the face.
Yes.
We had earlier.
Fun.
Perhaps the punch in the face is somehow related to my earlier thoughts or my earlier creation. So the punch is still coming. And what I like is you were saying the punch is coming, but I don't have to get wed to the reality of the punch. I'm holding.
Yes.
And that way I'm not as kind of tethered to all my past thoughts.
Yes.
Even though there may be something still arriving from those thoughts.
Exactly.
Is that right?
Like an echo.
Right.
Like yes.
So is it possible then that some of what's arriving now is that echo?
Oh yes, all the time.
All the time.
All the time. That's why it's crucial to not take your cue from your physical circumstances, because what you're hearing and seeing is always the past.
Okay.
Now this bridge becomes thinner and thinner, and you'll start to see more and more the reflection become more and more immediately who you actually are, but you're in physical reality while you're physically present, physically focused with a portion of your consciousness. Some people call it incarnation, but it's simply being physically focused. There's always going to be some difference between where you're at and what your creation shows you. It's always going to be a past reflection to some extent. Right. You're always going to be beyond it a little bit, but that's good. That's how you keep creating. That's why life is never stagnant.
Okay, so maybe this is just giving permission then. So if life, if you're a Tibetan monk and your country gets taken over, maybe there's an echo that arrived there.
Yes.
And that doesn't mean that you're not still shifting your relationship. Yet, I don't know, for some reason I have a desire that we name those echoes, because otherwise when people are experiencing the echoes, they're going to drop your idea.
Yes, exactly. So this is what I call the 3-day process.
Okay.
So very briefly, because it's on YouTube too, just Google the 3-day process. Day 1, this is a representation, right? So it's not actually 3 days. It can be 3 minutes, can be 3 seconds, can be 3 weeks, can be 3 years, depends on the creation. But this is the 3-stage process that each creation goes through. Day 1, you have this new vision for yourself, this new intention, this new realization. Oh, wait a second, this is who I am. I'm going to change my frequency. I'm going to see it, feel it, be it, right? We all have these moments. I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to change my relationship. Some kind of significant or maybe just a sub-significant, like a small change, but something you're passionate about. You feel this passion, you feel this inspiration, you're on fire, things seem to be going well for you that very day, day one, everything goes smoothly. Day one is the new excitement day, and you're happy and everything is well, and you're God, and you're powerful, and you're connected. Then day two comes around the corner. Day two is the day of challenge, of testing, of the echo, of the reflection of your old thought. Mm-hmm. Why is this occurring? It's not because your higher self is out to get you. It's because it's like a safety pin on a gun. It's not going to allow you to pull the trigger on actually changing your entire reality until you give it the green light once more. So day one is the initial signal, but you have to double that effect. Sometimes triple it, sometimes quadruple it. But you need to be consistent. You need to say, this is actually who I wish to become. This is actually what I want. This is actually what I prefer. This is what I am ready for. Now, if you cannot even maintain your new frequency in the reflection of your old reality, you won't be able to handle your new reality. Mm-hmm. So it's actually for your own safety, for your own psyche, so that you don't go psychotic, that there is a safety trigger. This is the day two challenge. An old reflection will show up. Your partner will doubt your decision. They will not agree that you quit your job because what about the financial situation? And it will bring up your doubts. Yeah, maybe you're right. I should just be a realist. I remember when I was believing in my dreams and it never worked out. Why? Because you always stopped at day two. Very good point you made. When people hit the day two challenge, the echo, they are going to drop what I said, because the way we approach that is to focus the lack aspects, to emphasize the lack aspects. Now start emphasizing the abundance aspects to the point where you're completely blind to the lack aspects. If you can do that, then you can maintain your frequency throughout that challenging experience. You cannot see a single molecule in that circumstance. All you see is you're completely being blinded by your own frequency. You're overpowering yourself with your own happiness. You're being delusional, yes. If you do that, your delusion becomes a reality. We're all delusional. Right now, we're all delusional. We call this reality, but that's because we faked it till we made it. Now fake it till you make it again. We call the faking it, oh, it's just imagination, it's just daydreaming, it's just being childlike, it's just delusional. Yes, but that's how you create reality. It's actually an aspect of creating your physical reality. So throughout day two, the day two is the day of challenge, you maintain your new frequency at all costs. Whatever it takes. You uproot those negative beliefs. You see them, but you see them as positive events. If you feel a negative thing, it means success. It means your frequency is getting so high that this new thing is being exposed because it no longer fits in. So you need to address it somehow. You need to look at the belief and go, is this still serving me? No, I don't believe in this anymore. I believe in my happiness. I believe happiness will bring me everything I need. I believe that my joy, my inspiration, my creativity will always be able to support me. I believe I'm always supported by myself. Whoa, okay. The old belief disappears. You are now able to handle your new reality, and day three is then the day of transformation, confirmation, and celebration. And your new reality starts to appear.
The one thing I notice is not everything takes 3 days.
Exactly. It's a symbol.
So that's a symbol? Okay.
You could call it the 3-stage process if you want.
Okay. So it could take a different amount of time depending on your consciousness and depending on the echoes.
Exactly. And depending on the type or the gravity of the, not gravity, but the perceived gravity of the new dream that you're inserting. Right? If it's like to move to Cuba and to like be president there, that might have a perceived gravity that does not necessarily equate very closely to the present reality you've created.
Right.
So there may be more day two challenges there than there may be when it comes to, oh, I want to change my diet a little bit tomorrow. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it depends on that a little bit, like how long that time frame is. The 3 days are just symbolic.
Symbolic. So
Yeah, you could call it the 3-stage process too, or the 3 stages of creation.
Okay, good. That feels good.
Awesome.
And then in the other one, you're saying me, and I'm just curious, there's all of that expressing here, and there's all of that expressing there.
Yes.
And how much do they have to come along?
Not at all.
None.
Not at all.
Okay.
No. However, mechanically speaking, not at all. right? You could shift into whatever. You could shift into parallel reality where everything is purple.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
You would simply be in a reality where they would not exist, or a different version of them would be created, and you could say, oh, hey, you shifted with me. Oh, fun. But it is up to you. In a sense, you're creating your own reality all the time, and it's, in that sense, individual. However, there are other consciousnesses, and those are embodied by those beings that we create our own reflections of here. So there is some type of actual interaction going on every moment that you interact with someone, even though your experience of that is generated out of your energy, and their experience, their I amness, their consciousness projects it onto their screen in their particular configuration, and there are differences. The difference being that it's completely your energy, and to them it's completely their energy. However, the interaction is still happening. There's still communication happening. There's still transformation happening. So that the communication is real, but the energy you experience them as is made out of your energy. Otherwise, you could not experience it, because you can only experience your energy. That being said, then there are consciousness that all of our consciousnesses on this planet Earth, and there's many planet Earths, agree to experience a similar collective agreement situation, which is what we could call our present time, right? Now we come here not only to be individuals, we come here also to explore what it's like to share, to communicate, to receive. Those are all parts of our individual desire, of our theme of exploration. And many of us are here at this particular timing for this time of transformation, of going from dark into light, of going from unconsciousness into consciousness. So you will always be able to, if it's actually relevant for you, if it's actually your highest desire, you can shift to whatever universe is relevant for you. At any given time. You're never stuck where you're stuck. You're only stuck, seemingly stuck here, out of choice, right? So as soon as that choice actually changes, you're good to depart, you know? You could, in a sense, die, or you could disappear, or whatever. You could shift into a parallel reality, parallel collective reality. No one here has to agree with that choice, if that choice is completely relevant and genuine for you. However, and this is my point, you came here to have a shared collective transformative experience. In other words, you will create the illusion of, or the experience of, collective gradual transformation where everyone, or at least certain subgroups, certain subcollectives, agree to move at a certain pace from darkness into light. And the pace at which it is relevant for you to go from darkness into light and to have a consensus reality from darkness into light, to that extent, or of that nature, will you attract a subcollective that then becomes your entire collective. At some point, that subcollective becomes so totally your reality and so different from the other collectives which are moving at different speeds, that what seemingly first is a subcollective inside of Planet Earth Collective, at some point will become your entire civilization, your entire collective experience, because you're entirely in your own parallel reality of that nature. And every parallel reality at this particular timing collectively is splitting off and becoming more precisely its own reality. So in a sense, choose wisely, choose who you are, become more and more of who you really are in the upcoming months and the upcoming years, so that you will be part of the subgroup that you actually resonate with, that you actually excites you. Not that you can never change if, you know, if it doesn't fully resonate, you always can. But it becomes less obvious. Right now it's very obvious that you can choose your group, you can choose your reality, you can choose out of this mixed bag that we call planet Earth of the past few thousand years. You can now, we're at this cutting edge time where all these subgroups start to form, all these subcultures start to form. And it might not be as obvious yet, but they start to move apart from each other. And this is not a bad thing. They will all go on to become their own civilization. So pick your frequency.